Yeah, and I'm going to shorten my questions. I guess the first, Mr. Avenina, going back to your time in service, if you were to go back and sort of reanalyze some of the authorities and/or mission that you wish had been clearly delineated, what would those have been given the new threat landscape that we've described here already?
Senator Rubio, I think when looking back at the 6+ years I spent there, a lot of the success the NCSC had was predicated upon a few things. Partnership with the other intelligence agencies and some of the non-Title 50 agencies, and a spirit of trust, lack of duplicity, ensuring that we did not do the same type of analysis and operational work as any other agency, and we were not operational. But thirdly, I think the demand signal that we got from the private sector and others about what is the threat and how it's manifesting. And I think when we look at the other agencies in that space, their job is operational, OCONUS and CONUS, and NCSC took that ball and ran with the policy and strategy part of it. I think the hardship that you're talking about now would be, and to Michelle's point, the lack of clarity in the legislation and the Enhancement Act about legitimate authorities and roles. And I think that would be one thing, starting all over again, a reunification of that act and what those roles, responsibilities are, beyond being the strategy policy organization.
I mean, I think one of the hardest things to do today is to go to someone in public life or a public figure and say, you know, these individuals that you think they're your friends, these individuals that are business people, these individuals that claim to be, you know, that are former politicians or claim to be journalists, are actually being sent here. They may not even know it, to sort of influence the things you're writing, saying, or repeating. It's a real complicated, the disinformation piece is really complicated because sometimes people think they're getting verifiable information, they think they have a scoop, or they just want to say something relevant, and it's hard to distinguish. That's just not the way we think of foreign intelligence operating, especially if they're using multiple cutouts to get to that stage, and that's what we're going to be struggling with for some time. Mr. Sheldon, on the challenge that I know with cyber in general, we often think about it as ransomware and things of that nature, but one of the hardest things to do is to convince small to mid-size companies that they are targets, that these people even know they exist. And so some North Korean cyber actor, a Russian cyber actor that wants to hold you ransom, that's certainly a threat, and that's one thing. But there are some that are systemically important because somewhere along the supply chain or somewhere along the influence chain or somewhere along any of these chains, even though they're a small or mid-sized company, they're important, or they could create regional havoc. What do you think has been what are the things we can be doing to, in the way we stand up this function, to better convince small to mid-sized businesses and entities that they could become a target? They're not anonymous. Just because they're not Boeing or whatever doesn't mean they're not systemically important at the right time for the right reason.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. This is indeed one of the biggest problems from my point of view. There are still some organizations that need to be persuaded that they are a target, but we've seen so much progress over the past few years as collectively as an industry, academia, folks in government, including Mr. Avenina and his colleagues, have gone out and done roadshows, talked with folks in industry to try and flag this problem for them. The other piece of the problem is maybe someone's persuaded that they will be a target, and it's just a matter of resourcing the right types of tools, technologies, processes, and getting the right talent and people to be able to face the threat. From that standpoint, there's been some really significant progress over the past number of years about managed services that I think are really helping to solve this problem for people that are exploring that pathway. If you're a small company, a dozen people or 20 people or even less than 100 people, it's very difficult to have that 24/7/365 security team that can handle an intrusion. So a lot of people are saying, let's partner with an outside provider who can provide some of those things, and that helps particularly small organizations. So those are some capabilities that we think are driving improvement in the area.